Okay, so in this demonstration, I want to show you how you can add some photography to your InDesign template file for your foundation design book. All right, so first thing I did was I downloaded the zipped folder, and you can either get it through Canvas or on our server in the place that I showed you. And if you're not sure where that is, you need to refer back to the materials or to your lecture notes, just in case the location has changed since I did this video. Okay, so the first thing is you'll notice here, as I mentioned, I downloaded my zipped folder, and I don't want you to just open it any old place on your computer. I want you to go ahead and put it inside of your Project One folder. If you haven't been doing this so far, you really need to keep yourself organized from this point forward. So in the event that you haven't put everything sort of in discrete separate folders that we've been doing so far in the MAT 135 Project One folder, or something that you would have named that designates that all of these materials are for Project One, let's go ahead and take a look at that really quickly. I think that this is going to be a really important first step in getting things done, so that you can progressively add your photography, but also so that you can keep everything else really well organized from now on. Okay, so if you haven't done this, you should have everything inside of a Project One folder. I've called it MAT 135 Project One. Inside of it, you see I've got a folder called Photoshop Artboards for cropping photos, photots. I think I still have it that way from a previous demo, and I laughed at it in the other demo too. Maybe I'll just leave it like that because it's kind of funny. Anyway, so it's, if you were to look inside of that, if you remember what our structure was, uh, and you should have been doing this, right? Let me just collapse some things. Is that in the first demo, I showed you how to create a Photoshop PSD file that had like a sort of a 9 grid. It technically wasn't a grid, but it's 9 artboards. And in each of those artboards, because they're perfectly sized in like a 3 by 3 inch square, we could just drop our assets in. And if you remember also, I had shown you how to create like an original images folder where you kept that stuff really well organized. Like all your original type images would go in, or letter form would go in type, or whatever you want to call it, letter form. Texture would go in texture, right? These are all the original high resolution images. So you see we've got all these non-square pictures, yeah, that are examples of point, and so on. And those are the originals, and then you would use those as a linking structure to your Photoshop PSD file, and that's what they end up sort of looking like at a quick glance. Then you would export those into this new assets folder, and then I showed you if you wanted to make some assets for media, like screen media, you could call it, like type web, texture web, point web, and so on. Or what we're really going to be using it for is to export for print, but I went ahead and I showed you how to do everything at the same time. So I showed you how to export into a folder that was like called point print, plane print, line print, and so on. Okay, and you can see that the pictures that are in here are all squares, okay, and they are they're all called, like letter form photo investigation or something like that with an artboard number at the end. All right, so that gives you some idea as a reminder how we had that particular thing set up. And then in phase one, you would have your other templates set up the way that you should have had them set up for your studies, and so on and so on. So what I want you to do, because all of the stuff that you're going to be putting into your design book, it's going to come from these folders. And so this file needs to live kind of in the same place. So I'm going to drag that InDesign Foundation Design Book template, and it's called, just, so you have a sense of what the whole name is, Foundation Design Book, and it says base folder. All right, but that's the template file that you're going to be using, and that's where you can then unzip it. So I'm going to, on a Windows computer, you would right click and you would say extract. On Mac, you can just double click it and it should just unzip it for you. Okay, so now we have the actual folder design for the design book. All right, and so if you look inside of that, you'll see that there's a number of different things that come along with that. It's not just simply a file. InDesign is a little bit more structured. And this PDF right here, just I can show you really fast. If I do a quick view on it, this is the way that the design book currently looks, except that it's empty, right? There's nothing in it. It's just a basic shell of a format. And so, you know, it kind of looks like this. All right, and it's got all these empty places where you're going to be putting your contents. All right, this empty template automatically generated a PDF whenever I created the package for you.